What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 5? 4? Ah, shit. Yeah, it's one of those numbers. Episode 5 or 4 of the Gooned Up Nerds podcast, where we major in movies, minor in comics, and dabble in everything else. I'm your host, Oscar, and of course, with me is...
Dylan.
Because we have a movie review that we're going to do today. This is a movie I've been putting off for a while on Netflix. It's one of those ones that I always caught my eye, but... like a jackass, I always just passed by it and went to something familiar. And so now with this podcast, I'm hoping to be able to actually get to these movies now. And the movie we're going to talk about today is Cargo. It's a Netflix... Actually, it's not a Netflix original. They just opted for it. You look like you got something to say, Dylan.
No.
No?
But apparently it is based off of a short film that came out in 2013.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Didn't see yet.
And I want to see it just to see if because the movie, when I was watching it, like, it's not really a spoiler or anything. We're gonna spoil the shit out of this movie regardless.
Like
so
always.
Yeah, what was that?
Like always.
Yes, we're gonna spoil the shit out of this movie. You know what? This is my first time actually putting out that this is a spoiler discussion. I mean, the good thing is apparently people don't even know what movies we're fucking talking about half the time. That's the only feedback I've gotten.
Yeah.
It has made a couple of people curious, which is nice to check out the movie because they're like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are talking about, but I am interested to see why Dylan got so angry about these fish that are fucking. For those of you that don't know what we're talking about, just check out our review for shit, I already forgot the name of the movie.
Cold Skin.
Yeah, there you go. It's about the mermaid people. Anyways, this is actually a zombie flick, and I wanted to see this just because I saw the trailer for it, and it seemed like a really cool idea, and I was curious to see if the actor that they actually picked as the lead could hold his own in a really serious post-apocalyptic drama type of film.
Yeah, I mean it was a good watch. I'm obsessed with all zombie movies, so of course I was going to watch it out the gate. I watched it a few years ago, I think, when it first came to Netflix.
Yeah, it was like 2018 it came out?
17, I think.
17? Oh,
and
damn.
then you brought it up, so I was like, all right, cool, I'll definitely rewatch this movie. Definitely a cool story. It's a little different than other, like, dreading zombie movies.
Yeah, as far as post-apocalyptic movies go, I mean, it's a really minimalist movie, but they do get the message across really well. The thing that really, I mean, they're really focused on a lot of the imagery and a lot of the set pieces that they have, because a lot of it's just showing the landscape, how vast it is, how desolate it is.
Which is Australia.
Yeah.
So it's on top of a post-apocalyptic movie, where they are is just like hell to begin with.
So you're introduced to a family. Right, it's I forgot the name. Oh, his name is Andy, right?
Yes, Andy.
Okay.
The wife's name is Kay, and the baby's name is Rosie.
So you're introduced to this family, and they're going down the river on a houseboat or whatever. As they're going down the river, they're just starting to see how the lay of the land is and whatever. They go by another family, and they're having like what looks like a birthday party or something. And I don't see like the post-apocalyptic thing just yet. And then they do this little exchange, which actually, it says a lot about what landscape they're in,
Yeah, Andy like waves to him and tries and catches the family's attention, and the father just flashes a revolver in his belt line, and he's like, all right then, I'm gonna leave you be.
Yeah.
Let you go about your day.
So now I'm getting an idea of what's happening here. People are already in that state of where they don't trust each other or anything like that. So this seems like it's already been a long time after civilization has already collapsed, and everyone's just trying to survive at this point. They continue down the river, and they eventually find another boat that's crashed into the bayou.
Yeah, and they were like struggling looking for food. They were arguing, trying to figure out where they were going to find the next meal, where they were going to go and everything, because I think they were running low on food they were talking about.
Yeah, when I saw, because I literally just saw this movie just a couple hours ago, but they were just, I think they were down like a couple of days' food. I think she was saying quota rations or something.
Yeah, it was kind of funny because he's like, well, I like your idea at one point, and she's like, well, what's my idea? And she's like chewing on the pen. He's like, well, we're just going to eat all the pens and we'll be fine.
See, here's the thing. So I really wanted to see if this guy could like hold his own in this movie as, a main like lead, in a post-apocalyptic movie, because it just centers around him.
Yeah.
Basically. And honestly, he still needs some work to me, but that Martin Freeman, that kind of humor he does, that was the first time you see it in this movie. And honestly, I don't think you really see it anymore.
Yeah,
after
he was
that.
like lively. Like the wife was pretty like high strung about
Mm.
everything that was going on, and like every right to be. You're in an apocalypse with like zombies or like infected creatures. But he was like more lively and fun going his character for a little bit in the beginning.
I think like when he does that, like I'm thinking about the movie, like looking back on it. I think what he was really doing was just kind of, hey, we're in a really shitty situation. We have to keep some levity to everything. You know,
Yeah, pretty
like
much.
almost like I kind of want to blanket as much of the horror as possible. But just let me just give him a positive attitude kind of thing. So they find this boat, and he goes in. He finds all this food, and he's super psyched. He comes back to his houseboat. Shows his wife. He says that it's safe to go there, but when he's in the boat, you hear rattling in the back.
Yeah, it's like in the bathroom you hear rattling, and the second he hears that, he leaves and goes back to his boat. Tells his wife it's safe.
That's
To like
yeah,
not like
there it is.
so like he probably did it to like keep her from worrying and like
Yes.
something like that. But then she goes ahead and like probably is like, oh well, if he went over there, maybe I could go over there and find something nice too for him because like he got all this food for us. And yeah, she goes over there and she's looking around, and you hear the wrestling in the back bathroom or whatever it is. And when she goes to leave the boat, she just gets like pulled back in.
Yep. And also, I really like how they handled it. Like, I was expecting like a big like pop scare or something to like come out or whatever.
No,
but
you don't see it.
no,
Like,
they kept. And you
yeah.
know what it was? I didn't. Usually, when that happens in certain movies, especially one that's not well directed, I feel like I'm cheated. It's like, oh, you guys just couldn't afford the prosthetics for this one like zombie pop out. You know what I mean? The way they directed it, just you still felt the impact because also she manages to make it back to the boat. She doesn't actually
Yeah.
die or anything. And she's trying to tend to the wound, but she's freaking out because she clearly, you know, as zombie, she got bit. Like she clearly got bit. And once again, the dude's trying to keep levity, trying to be like, no, it's okay, we'll be okay, whatever, you know. And the thing is, like, when you start seeing that happen, this is why I'm like, I don't know why in the last couple movies I'm really critiquing these lead actors or whatever, but like, he starts to crack, right? Because eventually she just like, he's like, anything could have bit you, and she goes, but it had fingers, and he just goes like, fuck. When I see him do shit like that, I'm still not seeing it. Like, I don't feel like that extra power behind like the, you know what I mean?
I guess. I mean,
I don't know.
I thought he did a pretty good job throughout the movie. I enjoyed it. I thought his acting was pretty good.
He
But-
did grow on me. I'm not saying I didn't like him in the movie. I don't know. I just think he still needs some work.
All right.
I don't know what it is. I'm critical of these lead actors because most of these are kind of like they're supposed to be character pieces because they're just focused on this one guy, like his journey
Yeah.
from like, you know, I like I said, I want to jump ahead. So, you know, she gets bit, whatever. He says we have to go to a hospital because if you bleed out, you're gonna change quicker because they have these little timers in these little safety kits that the government handed
Yeah,
out.
which is like so weird that the government had these like safety kits on deck.
Yeah, like
for,
which
like,
is which I thought was really cool because that means that whatever semblance of government was left or what before it collapsed, like they had a thing ready for you to take care of what you had, you know, what needed to be done.
it was a suicide kit.
Yeah, essentially.
It had like this syringe that you would put to your forehead or your temple and like inject it, and it would shoot a needle into your head and kill you. You had a watch, and the watch pretty much counted down how
Yeah.
long until you turned, and like it told you the symptoms and everything that
Yeah,
you
it was
would go
48
through.
hours that the virus had to take hold of you.
And it was weird. Like you start burrowing into the ground.
I see. This is like I thought this was really cool because it added a different. Because would you consider this a zombie movie or an infected movie?
I would
Because they
probably
do
say
eat
infected.
people. They do eat people.
They do eat people, but I just always feel like that's anything's first and main natural instinct. So that's not really.
So
you know.
okay, so you're gonna consider this an infected movie?
Yeah, I would say it's infected.
Okay.
I don't think they're zombies
I-
because like do they don't even explain. I mean, yeah, I guess you do die because they talk about bleeding out, and the faster you bleed out, the faster you turn. So
Yeah,
you have
so-
to be dead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I consider this a zombie movie because also just the way
Yeah.
that they moved, the fact that they actually
They definitely
ate
moved
other
like
people.
zombies.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I consider this a zombie movie, and also I just thought this was a cool take on it because these had such weird symptoms, and it also broke down like, hey, you're gonna have seizures, you're gonna be vomiting, and then like this weird pus comes out of
Yeah,
your
it was
face.
like an amber color that just like crusted over your face and gave you like a little extra terrifying look. I
Yeah,
feel like.
it was cool though because like it gave him that's why it was hard to tell if this is a zombie movie or an infected movie because it gave him more of a sick look, not so much
Yeah,
like a dead look. Like where in other zombie movies the viscous fluid that comes out of them is usually like black or brown or something.
this was like a bright color, like
Yeah.
a yellow amber.
Yeah, it was like shit that would come out of a fucking pimple you popped. Like it was
Yeah,
gross.
pretty much.
And I thought it was really cool. And then, but they obviously weren't going to get into like, oh, this is what the infected do or whatever. But you have to pick up on it as an audience member, just looking at what they do or whatever. So like a weird symptom they had was they would burrow into the ground and stick their heads in.
Yeah, I think it was kind of like a form of hibernating. Like they didn't like the sunlight. They were more active at nighttime.
Yeah, yeah.
They would like push their heads against like walls and everything.
And also they smelled blood like an animal.
Yes.
It's a pretty cool take on the zombie mythos, in my opinion. Like infected zombies or anything you want to call it. But I thought it was interesting. And anyways, we continue on. So she gets bit, and then he goes, "We have to go to a hospital." And
So that's when they, I think they find the car, right?
yep, they go on land and
They
they
go on
find
land.
the
They
car.
find the car, and it's little quick intense scene where zombies walking up on them, and he's like trying to get everything ready in the car, and she's like trying to warn him without making noise. So she hits like this signal, and he's like looking down at the signal, like, why is that on? And then sees a zombie, but like he gets in and they get away. It's not like
Yeah.
a big deal or anything.
One thing I thought was a little weird. It's like you could just find shit. Apparently, like you could just find cars. Like they found
Yeah,
the boat they were
found
originally on. This
everything pretty easy.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was like, but like I don't know how Australia is. Maybe they just have shit like that laying around. I don't know. I guess or maybe it's far enough along in this plague where like pretty much all civilization except for these last survivors are around, like Walking Dead kind of status.
Yeah.
It's easy to find things. It's just I'm actually surprised they had to find like gas. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But,
the car had gas in it, like right out the gate.
I guess also maybe it's because since it's on an island. You know what I mean? It wasn't once everyone died on the island. It's like
that's that.
that's that. Like all the
So
resources are
whatever's
still left
is,
there.
yeah.
So I guess that
that's
kind of
true.
makes sense, honestly. Because in America, we have to deal with people coming down from Canada or people coming up from here, or if we travel, you know what I mean? There's a
Yeah.
lot of plane to cover, and if they're just on an island, like there's only so much land you have to get across, and you could probably find enough gas or something. I don't know. I just thought that was a little weird. They found everything like that, but I guess we just explained myself out of that.
True. Yeah.
Anyway, so they get in the car, and then slowly she starts to like show symptoms and things like that.
She wants to kill herself, but he's like too stubborn, won't let her do it.
Yeah, he's one thing that you'll see in this is kind of him. I think the point of it was, anyways, at least I thought what they were trying to get across was this is kind of his journey from like learning like this is how I have to survive. Like, you know what I mean? This is what it means to survive now. Like this is life now, and I have to learn how to deal with it because he couldn't deal with his wife. Like he's like, no, we'll find something, we'll be okay. And she's like, and she's even telling him like, you don't get to choose this. Like this is going to happen whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And you're right. Yeah, he's being really stubborn.
He like refuses to accept it, puts her back in the car, breaks the door handle off so she can't get out.
Yeah, like that I thought was a little ridiculous because I also didn't know like how the infected were. If she would just like I don't know, just be kind of not as aggressive as you see them. You know what I mean? As normal zombies, anyways.
Yeah.
I guess. So what happens is like they're driving. She's like telling him to let her out or whatever, and then they find a zombie that comes into the road, and then they crash. And I guess we did skip over one thing because they did introduce a character like in the middle of all of that. The little girl.
To me.
Yeah, Toomey, the little girl.
So there's a little like a native girl.
She's the native from
So,
Australia.
Yeah, she's a little native girl.
I think they're called I think it's Aborigines.
Aborigines.
I think that's what they're called.
Cool. So there's a little Aborigine girl, and she's like feeding a zombie, like just rabbits that she's been catching or whatever that she has like kept in a pit, and you only see her very shortly throughout it, but she ends up becoming pretty prominent because it turns out the zombie that like walked into the road that made them crash their car and
Yeah.
everything was her father.
Yeah,
So it kind of like ties their characters together.
which I kind of liked. Like she was Because there's a theme in this too. Like you start later seeing how like how it's better to go back to the not better, but like how the native ways or the old ways of the land were the best ways to kind of avoid this virus. Because she was able to pull like a straight up Michonne and like somehow wrangle her father and posted, or maybe it was right before he turned or something, and like gagged him, and then is also managing to feed him too.
Yeah.
You know what I
Which
mean?
she probably has to ungag him.
Yeah, so she's able to do all that. She has him like caged in like a makeshift like little dungeon she has in a cave. And like I'm like, damn, this little girl was able to do all of that shit, you know? And also because I mean, it's not really spoiling later on, but she believes that her dad is not dead. She thinks that, you know, based on the old ways of thinking that that her father's spirit's just lost and she has to get it back to him, that kind of thing.
No offense, but there's always that one asshole that thinks that.
There is, but she made it seem way more endearing than like the
She was
weirdos.
young. She's only like 10,
Yeah,
11.
she did make it seem way more endearing than like the crazy pastor that would keep like the wife like barbed wired
chained
up
up.
in the
Yeah.
basement. There's always a zombie movie where something like that is happening. Or was it what was it? It was Herschel in Walking Dead, right? Initially.
Yeah, it was Herschel in season 2 at first. I believe they had someone doing it in Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead.
Did they?
Yeah, someone like kept all the zombies in the basement of the apartment complex. I think in the beginning of the movie.
Oh, and is that why like they initially had to leave and shit?
I think so. Like that's when the outbreak really started to push, and that's when the police just like gunned everyone down.
There's always that one person that's doing some bullshit like that. But like I said, she made it very endearing because like you're
Yeah.
right, she's a child. She's a child. I mean, she's like what, like 11 or 12? It seemed like
Something like that. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
she's definitely like very young teen.
Yeah, and she was like doing cool shit. Like I don't know if it actually worked. That putting like the leaves and shit under your shoe so no one can track you. That kind of thing.
Oh yeah, she had them like stuffed in between like the soles. And,
Yeah, and
all
like
that.
put
Yeah.
leaves and shit in it. Like, and she's like, oh, so they can't track me or whatever. And then she has like all this face paint on her because like she believes in like
What she calls them is ghosts.
yeah.
Can't like see her if
Yeah.
she like paints her face, which was a little funny because
It's a little
they
funny.
definitely could still see her.
They could still, because it's really funny too. Because as the movie goes on, it's the circumstance of what's happening. It kind of backs up her, you know, what she's thinking. Because like, but we'll explain that in a little bit. But so we're introduced to her in the middle of all this, and the father is the zombie that goes in the middle of the road, right?
And then they crash the car. The wife gets impaled by a branch. She's bleeding out a lot faster now, and the husband Andy is pretty much knocked unconscious.
Yeah, just from shock. He wakes up. She's turned, and as he's trying to get the kid out, she bites him.
Which just like I feel like adds such a larger layer of like dread to any other zombie movie.
Oh man,
Because it's like all zombie movies have that, like, you know, well, this is it. Like, you just survive as long as you can,
Yeah.
and then when you die, you die. But this is like, all right, well, now he's bit. He has 2 days now to like figure out what he's gonna do with his daughter, and it's like, you know your main character is gonna die no matter what. There's
Yeah.
nothing you can do about it.
Which is why I don't really feel bad about spoiling this so much, because you know what the end is. Like he's not gonna make it. Like that's the whole point. So like, and that's what interested me about this movie initially is the premise, where it's about a father that gets bitten and has to find someone to take care of his kid before he turns.
Yeah, don't get your hopes up. There's no like cure. Like he's fucked. out the
Yeah.
gate.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna. I mean, I'll get when we get to the end. Like I'll let you know. But I fooled myself for 2 seconds, thinking he might be okay. But anyway, we'll get to that later. And this actually really plays into the whole like stupid this little girl's beliefs and shit. So, anyways, he gets bit, and he's just like. And once again, this is where I questioned like if he could really hold his own or whatever. He does that whole like he screamed, because they do a really cool shot of just showing like he puts the baby down, and then off on the side where it's all blurred out of focus, you see him going up to his wife to do the injection, the needle from the first aid kit that he found. And then he like lays down, and then he screams like really loud, like, you know, like anyone would after murdering their wife, you know. But it didn't seem like there was a lot of power behind it. You know what I mean? I didn't really feel that. Because I'm sorry, and I hate to say this.
You and people and their power.
I'm sorry. I have to feel it. Look, Mandy,
felt
Nick Cage, when
Hate you and your damn Nick Cage
no,
movies.
hear me out. Hear me out. So In Mandy, Nick Cage saw his wife get burned, and that was the most realistic reaction that I've ever seen. And I'm not even talking that it's crazy Nick Cage. He's like calm. He goes into the bath, and then he starts screaming his ass off while trying to chug vodka. That is a reaction right there. What this guy gave me was not that much of a reaction. I'm not putting him down too much.
Is it because the vodka wasn't there, or
You know what? No, that's not why, and it's not because I'm a Nick Cage shill. All right, so. But anyways, I was saying like for the
I
most.
thought he had some pretty good emotion.
Okay. No, I'm just saying that's it
You
after
know,
this.
dealing with the dread of knowing that you're gonna die in 2 days. Your wife is dead. You just killed her,
I sound like such an asshole laughing while you're saying these horrible things. But
and you have no one to take care of your child, who can't take care of themselves because they can't even say words yet.
oh my god, I'm not laughing
That
at this.
is the zombie apocalypse.
Yes. Okay. But after this, like I said, he started to win me over, especially at the end. The ending crushed me. I'll say that. All right, but that was it. After this, I'm not critiquing any more of this because
Fuck
after this,
him in the first hour of him knowing he had to die. It's bullshit.
But so he's like, okay, now I have to figure out what the hell I'm gonna do. So now I guess in his head his mission is I have to find someone to take care of this kid. So I guess he goes back to his original plan to go to the hospital because I guess he still has to tend to his wound and shit.
Yeah.
So he goes there and he finds empty, and I was expecting to be
Completely empty.
yeah. And honestly, the stupid like
tense.
yeah, the stupid action zombie asshole in me wanted was like, all right, that means a ton of zombies are gonna come. He's gonna be running. It's gonna be this whole thing. And no, he goes in, and he's looking for stuff. It's empty, and he manages to find a woman that's there.
It's creepy as hell. Like, cause it's nighttime
creepy.
and all the lights are off, so he's like using a flashlight, going through everything, and he's like panning through the room, and like, boom, you just see this old lady just sitting in a chair in the dark by herself, and she's like, "How long you got on that timer, buddy?"
Oh,
like,
man. She came up like such a badass too, but like, yeah, that was creepy. But like I said, this movie's very low key, and it still was pretty awesome. And like because I thought that was cool. That's because she was clearly waiting to see like what this guy was actually doing.
Yeah.
And then she probably saw the baby, and she's probably gonna announce herself anyways. But he just happened to turn right before she said anything. So he tells her like how long he has on the timer or whatever, and then she tries to tend to his wound. She fixes him up, and
It turned out that she was the teacher for all the Aborigine kids. Aborigine.
Okay,
kids?
just say native because we can't.
Native
we
kids.
can't even pronounce it.
And she pretty much just says that when everything went to shit, they returned to the old ways. Pretty much just like going back and living in the wild, essentially,
yeah.
and like living by, I guess, like the old code that they used to have, like an old set of laws or whatever.
Yeah, they went back to hunting and gathering and all that
Yep.
other stuff. And like I mean, later when you see in the movie, they're kicking ass. They are thriving.
Oh yeah. They're just like chilling, like slaughtering zombies left and right.
And it's pretty cool because it's like you see them with like because she has the little girl has the ghost paint. They have it all over their body. I mean, clearly it's for like probably like blocking the sun or something, you know, like something practical. But they're all like done up in that, and they have like but it's funny though. You see like guys in like jerseys and like wearing normal clothes, but they still have the paint and like all the stuff on them, and they're just killing the shit out of zombies left and right.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool scene.
Yeah, but anyway, so he's about to tell the lady because she has his first seizure. He's about to tell the lady, "Hey, look, I want you to take care of her," but then he sees that she's like wearing a wig, and I guess she had cancer or something. I think that's what they were trying to hint at because her head was bald.
Oh, okay.
Because like and he's like, oh fuck, like I can't, you know, like because she was also taking pills when he was about to go say something to her, but she took off her wig and she was completely bald.
I didn't even think about that.
So
okay.
So I'm like, oh, that sucks. All right, so he says, and which is even worse. It's like a huge kick in the chest to him. She goes, all right, if you want someone to take care of your kid, find this man, and she shows the picture, and it's the zombie father.
Oh yeah, Willie.
Yeah,
it's
that's
the
his
father
name.
that made
So
him
you have
crash
to find
his
Willie's.
car.
Yeah, tell him that whatever her name was like Ed something.
Edda.
Etta. tell him that Etta sent you. He's like, and he doesn't want to say like, oh, he's dead or whatever. He's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I'll go find him, fucking. And he goes, I think, because
I don't know if he starts like trying to make his way back to
the boat,
the boat to get to the family.
because he runs into the girl eventually, right? Oh no, he runs into the guy.
So he's like looking in a car, and a zombie comes up behind him, and someone shoots him, and it's this guy Vic. Vic essentially like saves him in the time being, and like brings him back to his little reservoir, his little camp where he's staying, and you meet Vic's wife. You know, it's just like a weird situation. Vic sucks.
Yeah, Vic is kind of a prick. He's actually one of those like, and I like how they made it sound in World War Z. He's a Lamo, last man on earth type of person. What his character really is he's like one of those guys like, hey, look, I'm gonna start taking resources now, so that way when shit comes back, I'm gonna be on top.
Yeah, so what he's doing is he's like kind of like hurting the zombies and killing the zombies and taking all their like jewelry and all their change, their possessions, and like trying to get like on top. So like if anything ever gets established again, he'll have something to like trade and like establish himself in like a hierarchy of some sort.
Yeah, and he's essentially a scavenger too. When you learn more about his character later, it's just like, wow, this guy fucking sucks.
Yep.
He brings Andy back, and Andy's introduced to the wife. I think her name is like Rainey or something.
Lorraine's the name, but
he calls her Rainer.
Yeah.
Okay, it's so he's introduced, and right off the bat, you look at her. I'm like, this lady looks like she was taken hostage, like straight up. She just has that vibe right out the gate. And I don't know if Andy picks up on her. Or she
doesn't seem like thrilled to see him when they get back and everything. Like
yeah, and she's like saying, oh, you're the first people I've seen in like however long. And what's his name, Vic. He's like, all right, Andy, we're gonna go out for something. You know, like, oh, leave the kid, whatever. Rainey will take care of her, and you know, and you trust her that she's. At first, I thought it was gonna be something weird, like I don't know if she's gonna like kill the kid or so. She's like, does she have munch? I'm like, this is where my head goes. Yeah, or cannibals.
Cannibals.
You know what I mean? Like you just don't know, especially with this situation out in fucking Australia in the middle of the apocalypse. Vic takes Andy out, and apparently Vic has set up traps where he has a prisoner in a cage.
Just fucked up.
Yeah, and which sucks because it seems like most of his prisoners are natives. He's capturing natives and putting them in these cages to lure the zombies in, and he picks them off from a distance, and then comes in to collect all the jewelry and whatever valuables the bodies have before he takes care of them. And like I think that's where reintroduced to Toomey again, or Andy and Toomey meet, because Toomey at this point has been captured by Vic and put in the cage.
Yeah, she's one of the hostages.
Which is even more fucked up because I'm like, damn, like.
She's a child. And
yeah.
He's even talking about, that's when he starts talking about how like he wants to have things to trade in the future, because he's even talking about like trading her.
Yeah, which is really, I didn't even pick up on that, to be honest. Like I thought he was just talking about the shit that he was picking up, and I'm like, oh damn, I didn't even think about the whole.
No, he's like talking about like trading the people that he had hostage and everything.
Oh damn, that's fucking.
Yep.
Wow, you just really don't like.
Oh, he's racist as shit. Like
yeah.
At one point when he's like chasing, well, spoiler, he's like chasing them later on. He's like cursing them out and everything.
So he gets all that stuff. He comes back. He's about to have another episode or something. So Andy's about to have like another seizure or something. One of the symptoms are going to flare up. Andy goes, okay, it's time. Like she's going to be secure here, whatever. And then he goes outside with the needle from the first aid kit to do himself in. And he's like trying to psych himself up to do it. And he just can't seem to. He can't seem to do it because, you know, I mean, I don't care who you are. That must be fucking nerve-wracking to think I have to stick this goddamn needle in my head. I feel like a gun would have been easier.
Oh, definitely.
He's about to do it, and then Lorraine comes out with the kid going like, look, I'll take care of her, but we can't stay here because this guy's fucking crazy. And then she explains how she came to be with him. And apparently he worked at the gas plant. When things got crazy or someone got infected inside, he locked everybody in the gas plant and just left them there to die.
Including her husband.
And eventually he just took all the gas, all the resources in the area. Vic finds them outside, obviously, and then knocks Andy out, and he puts him in a cage with Toomey. And Toomey's just like, oh, fuck, it's this guy again. And he's like, oh, shit. Like, look, before, I'm sorry about before. Like, look, we have to work together. He's, like, panicking because, like, now his child is with this crazy dude. And he's like, all right, we have to figure something. He figured out how to get out of that cage real quick.
And it was pretty smart. He, like, ties the intestines to, like, a rope and ties it to the top of the cage and like throws it out. And then when the zombies come to like eat it, they start pulling on the cage, and by them pulling on the cage, it opens it.
Yeah.
And like he slides out underneath. The girl sits there at first, and he's like, "Yo, like next time it opens, you have to get out." And like luckily, it pops right open again, and they get right back out, and he sneaks back to the compound and gets Lorraine and his baby, and they try to escape, but Vic like wakes up with his gun and like kind of like traps him behind the car.
As they're going, he tries to. I guess he was trying to shoot Andy, and he fucking missed. Or
Well, yeah. So Andy goes to run, and Vic goes to shoot him, and Lorraine like jumps out in between them, and Vic shoots Lorraine and kills her.
Yep. And now he's all like, he's like freaking out and shit. So then they run away, and Vic just tries chasing him down, and that's when he starts saying all the fucking racist shit and like yelling, trying to get into the guy's head, like, listen, like, you know what? I'll just wait out here until you die, and then I'll just like watch you eat like your friends' faces off. I'm like, it was really fucked up.
Yeah, it was twisted.
And like, but then eventually he just kind of gave up and just left. But then at that point, like, now Toomey and Andy are together. You know, they rest up. I guess she says, okay, now you have to help me find, she says, the clever man.
Yeah, so they're looking for the clever man, which was the other guy they had in a cage.
Yeah, there was
And
another.
he was just like another native who just originally believed in the old ways. And what was going on was there was a lot of fracking going on. And I guess he was like one of the people who was like trying to go against it. Because if you watch the movie a couple of times, you'll see like they talk about fracking a lot, which is why.
Really?
Yeah, so I actually think fracking created the zombies.
Oh,
I
interesting.
think that's like their little subtle thing to it because
Ah.
you see one part where they have like a sign on like a plant or like a fracking area, and it says like frack off, we don't want you here, stuff like that. There's a flashback where the father, Willie, actually he works at one of those like factories, and then the clever man is like yelling at him for doing that, saying you're like killing our world and everything, and you shouldn't be doing this. And just there's like little subtle things like throughout the movie that
even like
hint
mentions
towards how like horrible it is.
Yeah. It's I didn't think about the fracking being the origin of the plague or whatever. That's interesting. I mean, the clever man also was saying like, hey, like you're making the land sick, like, and he's saying like, you know, eventually it's
and
gonna.
the people look sick almost. So.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's interesting. So she's trying to find this guy because I guess her thinking is that, look, this guy can find my dad's soul and put it back in my dad. But then she finds that the guy managed to escape himself somehow. And then she tries to find her dad, but then I guess because they show a picture of the mom and the dad with the girl, and then you see that the mom is actually the one leading the Aboriginal tribe.
Yeah.
You know, there's a scene where you see the mom hugging the jacket of the husband, and they do this actually really cool, like, so apparently they bury their dead in the trees.
To, like, keep them from waking up or, like, keeping their souls from being taken.
Yeah, something like that. But it was interesting because she's, like, putting the jacket on the tree, and I'm like, huh, I thought, they would have buried him or something. But then you see that he's actually in the tree covered in bark and wrapped up, and it's like, oh, and the kid sees, and she's like, fuck, like I waited too long, like I shouldn't have been away so long, and then...
Oh, yeah, she gets, like, angry at Andy and the kid. She's like, I shouldn't have been with you. I don't care about you or your kid. So, like, she ends up leaving him, or he leaves her because he needs to keep moving to find someone, but she doesn't want to go with them anymore.
Yeah.
She, like, does this weird thing where she's, like, smacking a rock into her head.
Yeah, no. So what I think the idea behind that was like you hit your head and you create a wound, and then once the wound heals, your pain from losing someone should heal also.
Yeah, it was an interesting theory.
Yeah, I mean, I like that they peppered in all this little stuff from like the natives from Australia.
Yeah.
Especially since they're the ones that pretty much come out on top of this whole thing. But then eventually she kind of like comes around and goes to find Andy.
Well, because he faints and she hears the baby screaming because he like has a seizure and has like a little episode, and when he comes to, she's like taking care of the kid for him and everything. From here they agree to like start making their way
to the boat, right?
Was it the boat? Yes,
just to the boat.
So they're going to the boat, and they get on the boat, and that's when they find the family.
Okay, got you. Because like I see, this movie is odd because it's not. A lot of it is just walking and
There's
going.
not that much action.
Yeah, there's not that much action, so it's hard to pinpoint certain areas because it's like one scene will blend into another one for me. But like I said, a lot of this is also just looking at the landscape and just how vast everything is. Because they're like not even like any tropical, like there's no trees or anything. They're in the middle of the goddamn outback.
Yeah,
it looks like.
It's like pretty much almost a desert type.
Yeah, there's like nothing around. They find the family, and this is fucked up because like there's always this guy too in a lot of zombie movies if you think about it, where so he goes like, all right, if I find this family, they'll take care of her, whatever, and like he leaves the girl to go find this family, and they're playing or whatever in the forest while the dad's digging. And you can see that he has the little wristwatch that shows the countdown.
Yeah, he got bit on the neck.
Yeah.
They show him when he turns.
And I figure, okay, I guess he's going to bury himself or like ask the wife to do him. But what happens is he says, look, you can take the camper, you could take the RV, which was, what they were moving in. And the guy's like, well, he's like confused because I'm confused too watching this. I'm like, but, why would that matter? Because your family could just drive away. And then he shows him the revolver. He goes like, all right. Because there's between the husband and the kids and the wife, there's four of them, and it's a 6-shooter. And the guy goes, "All right, look, there's 2 more bullets right after this. You can have this too." And I'm just like, "Oh fuck!" And I'm like, "Oh, did they all get bit?" And he goes, "I said I wouldn't leave him." And I'm like, "Oh shit, no, you're just gonna do him in because you're about to go."
Yep.
And I'm like, "Holy fuck!" And honestly, in a lot of zombie things, there is always that guy that's just like, I don't care. I'm not gonna let them get you. That kind of thing. Like, even in like World War Z, like there was a moment where like in the book, not the movie, where like a wife is like holding the daughter and is like squeezing on and trying to suffocate her before someone blows the wife's heads off and tries to let the kid go.
Jesus.
But there's always someone like that, and it's just like, and the guy didn't even try stopping him. He didn't try. He's just like, okay, this is what's happening. And he just and this is like where I think his arc really kind of happens, where he's just like, I gotta just let this happen. This is how it is now. And he just walks away. And it's even more fucked up because you hear the gunshots, and then you see the guy stumbling.
He like chases after him.
And then just like
shoots himself in the background.
And I'm like, did this guy really need to like lumber his way into the shot so we could watch him do himself? I'm like, all right, I'm already feeling so bad for everyone in this situation, So they come back and he's just like, I'm fucked. Like this is it. And because he
takes the revolver too.
He does.
He's like thinking about it.
He's thinking about it, and then eventually, once again, Toomey comes around and goes, "Do you want to see my people? Like, can we, And she starts taking the leaves off her shoe. So, which means she wants to be found now. She wants to go home.
Yeah.
And then she's like, all right. And he's like, all right, yes, let's go. Let's fucking, like, at this point, he's just like, you can clearly see this. And this is where, like I said, his acting won me over because now you can see the desperation. Like, no, I don't give a fuck. Let's go. Let's go. Let's just fucking go. And then, especially as he's plugging along, because he's like, what, at 9 hours at this point?
Yeah, they're pretty close to him. He's like having a lot of symptoms show at this point. Like, he's struggling.
Oh man, and this is where you really start feeling for the dude, because like not only that, so they cross the bridge, and then you finally see like an actual like zombie set piece, because you look over the tracks, and you see like zombies eating horses or whatever they could find, and they're just lumbering around. I'm like, okay, there's your zombie set piece, right? It's not huge, it's not like carnage, but it's like, oh, okay, there we go. I have my horde of zombies right there.
And then like some with their heads burrowed into the ground.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of cool because you see the guy, he's struggling to like fight back symptoms, and one of the symptoms eventually start getting attracted to blood and the smell of blood. Because while they were sleeping in another scene, Toomey wakes up and he sees that the dad's Andy is licking the blood on the side of the rock.
Yeah.
And that he looks really confused and dazed, and so his symptoms are kicking in. So it was kind of cool seeing like, oh, I can't look at this because he's getting drawn to it. This is also one little like it's just too much of a coincidence. They go through the bridge and then they guess who's there. It's Vic burning some clothes. I guess probably Rainey's clothes, I'm gonna assume.
Probably. But he just so happens to be like in the path.
Right at the end of a tunnel that they're at, where you actually see more infected up against the wall, like trying to hibernate, not sticking their head in the sand. And then they go and he's just like, oh fuck. And the baby starts crying. So Vic hears this. And even Vic's probably gotta be like, no fucking way, it's these guys. Like even he's got to be like, no fuck, this is too easy. Like
that was definitely
because like I guess they try to like
a little corny in my part.
You know what I think? I guarantee you in the short film original they didn't have a bad guy element. and I guess maybe like whoever produces, like, you need some kind of villain in this,
Yeah.
and they kind of shoehorned in Vic, but they didn't make him like, because I was expecting Vic to be hunting them down the entire time, and he just gave up.
No, yeah, it was like after that one thing. It was also, we got to remember, it's only like 2 days.
Oh, true. I guess he wasn't really like gung ho and tracking
So
them
they
down.
probably didn't even go that far in any of this
True.
time either.
That's very true. It just seems far because they have to walk the whole time, probably.
Yeah.
Because they really don't. They have the car for a little bit and then the boat, but other than that, so Vic is there, and this is like really clever on Andy's part. I thought, honestly, it was one of the coolest way he was able to try and like I clearly can't take this guy head on, so I'm gonna outsmart him, kind of. So he still has a revolver like tucked in his pants. He tells the Toomey to take the baby and just hide. And he yells Vic's name out loud, so Vic comes towards him, and he finds a whole row of infected people hibernating, and then he just plops himself in the line because earlier on Toomey says that he doesn't need the face paint because he already smells like
Smells
them.
like one of them, so they won't bother him.
Yeah, so he just pretends like he's one of them, like hibernating in the corner, and then Vic goes like he's trying to look for him. And he starts one by one just
With like a hammer, just like clubbing him in the back.
clubbing in the back of that, and it was a cool scene because he's like slow, and then you can see Andy psyching himself up, checking the revolver, and then as soon as his turn came, he turns around and like wrestles him and shoots Vic in the stomach.
Yeah, and they wrestle a bit, but then also Vic gets the gun and shoots Andy in the stomach.
Yeah, I'm like, God damn it, Andy! Like you.
So Andy goes down, and Vic like runs away and pulls the kid out of the car because that's where she's hiding. And I think she like falls and smacks her head on the like train rail and gets like knocked out.
Uh-huh.
And then he like takes the baby, and then Andy like wakes up and sits down. And he's like, "Listen, man, like give me my kid back. We're both fucked. Just like don't do this."
He's what's your call? It's funny just because I'm like, this is clearly why they kind of shoehorned this villain, because if he was a real villain, like he would have just murked that baby right there, because he had every opportunity to do, and I was actually waiting for something fucked up to happen. He had the chance, but like I guess they were trying to play up his character. Like he's not really a killer. He's kind of more of like a cowardly kind of guy, because he's really just kind of a scavenger. He's not a killer. You know what I mean?
No, not at all. He just like a vulture, pretty much.
Yeah,
he
pretty
just took
much.
whatever was laying around that he could.
Yeah, even Andy was like, "Listen, this isn't you. You're not gonna do this. Like, she didn't belong to you. Rainey didn't belong. Like just we're both fucked. Just let this pass. Like, we have to go." And he takes the baby, and Vic is just sitting there crying like a little bitch. I kind of wanted some kind of more of a comeuppance for him, but at the end of the day, it's just like, all right, I guess his character's like, all right, if he's just gonna fucking die there like a coward, that's what he's gonna die as, So I guess that was the end of Vic right there. This is where, like I said, like the acting is really now he's really like he's turned me around, and I'm just like, you really feel, because one, Toomey isn't really helping him anymore because Toomey has a concussion clearly.
Yeah, so he's like trying to carry his kid into me at this point.
Yeah, and Toomey's like nodding on and off. He's like, no, you have to stay awake. You have to stay awake, because he's starting to feel the symptoms, especially now he's bleeding out, so it's happening quicker now.
Yep.
And he's going across, and he's trying to keep everyone close also because he's masking their smell because all the infected are coming towards them. I mean, obviously it's because they're making a lot of noise. They're coming towards him. And Toomey's going, oh, because my face paint like is coming off. I'm like, oh, you dumb little kid. God damn you. Damn you. Because you just feel so bad for them. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. And he's going. But they ignore. I guess what happens? Do they just ignore him after that or something? Because they don't seem to be going after him after a little while, right?
No, they're not bothering him at all. And then pretty much what happens is he's like, knows he's dying.
Yeah.
So he puts like this mouth thing in, like a mouth guard.
Which I thought, like, once again, really fucking cool idea. Like, the government was like, all right, we're fucked, but we're just going to put these out there for people that need it. And it's literally everything you need.
But the government knew. That's why they had these prepared. Which is why it was the fracking.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, with your goddamn conspiracy theory bullshit. But it was interesting. They had zip ties for your hands so you're restrained. You had a mouth guard so you can't bite anyone. And
you had the little thing to kill yourself with. You had the timer.
Yeah, it was like a zombie, like, I am fucked kit. Like, it was pretty insane. He puts to me, he's like, listen, it's time. I can't hold out anymore. So, and he thinks right on his feet. So he gets the zip ties because he starts doing the thing too. Like his eyes finally get pussy, like the raining pus.
He's got to like try and scrape it off.
And then not only that, he's on the ground and you see him start to dig. And it's just like the natural reaction to start digging or something as he's trying to fight it. So he puts the mouth guard in. he puts the zip ties on, but before he did all that too, he wraps a piece of like flesh around a stick.
Yeah.
I thought it was cute. Where like, so this girl in her memory of her father, he's teaching her how to make a spear, and the thing he says is it's like mom's spaghetti because he's like turning the little the yarn or whatever around the thing. And then what do you call it? The guy's like, "Don't worry, it's just like mom's spaghetti." He's wrapping flesh around a twig that clicks with her, that resonates with her. She's like, "Okay." So he zip tied himself, put the mouth guard in, and then she like she straight up rides him.
Yeah, she like herds him. She has like the kid in between him and her because she's like on his back, but the kid's in between them, and she's just got the stick in front of him. She's just like guiding herself to where her family is.
Yeah, it's like she's using him like a horse almost. Like it's crazy, but it was really cool. And also then at this point, this is the scene where you see the native people like all in their makeup or whatever, and they're just killing zombies left and right. Eventually, you see the clever man come back, like he straight up just spears a zombie in the head like a boss. And then as they're walking away, the girl does this little bird call.
Yeah.
And then they see in distance, like they must have been like, what the fuck? Like seeing this little girl like with a white child just hurting some other dude with like a piece of meat. I'm like, they literally must have been like, what
the weirdest
fuck?
thing to see.
Yeah. Ever. And they're probably just like, God damn. Like, so they're about, and this is actually like a really touching kind of moment. So like they take her down or whatever, and they're about to murk the guy, but then she like sprays like the mom's perfume, and the guy smells it and actually calms down, and she's like holding his hand or whatever, and then the guy she's like, okay now, and then the guy plunges him, and I'm like, oh,
yeah, it's like the last moment of peace.
Yeah, like, oh, that was gut wrenching. I'm like, oh, why'd you have to give me like an Iron Giant moment? I was like misty eyed and shit. I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch. But then after that, like the baby seems to really like resonate with like it's not crying or anything, and they see her take her off like into the village or whatever, and
yeah, they like travel back to where everyone else is. And they got like a whole community. There's like a bunch.
Yeah, like I said, they come out on top of this. Like all the natives here just came out like,
they're
and they don't even look like they're bothered by it. They're just like, nope, everyone's having fun in their little refuge or whatever. Then they have this. I guess the dad did it like last minute, but he wrote like "thank you" on the kid's stomach.
Oh yeah,
at the end,
the white paint.
Yeah, with the ghost paint, and yeah, it was just, and they show the ending was him like wrapped up in the tree, just like the kid's father.
Yep.
And it was like that was a good ending. Like as far as like drama, like kind of, it's not an action heavy zombie flick at all. It's not even really a character study either, because you're not
maybe one fight scene. I don't
yeah,
know. It's just like a journey.
And that's why I feel like this probably is a better short film.
Probably. Yeah, because it was long. It was an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just walking and just, if you're not ready to like sit down and just like kind of focus on like just cool landscapes and just, really getting into this guy's like really his situation, this movie might not be for you. But if you don't mind, just like it's a really good, it's a harrowing story, to be honest, because you get really involved with this guy at the end. You're just like, you want to see him find someone for this kid.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's what at the end of the day is probably the most important part of this. It's like you have to root for this main character. Like you have to be with this guy this whole time. And you are, because Martin Freeman, like I said, besides my criticisms of his stuff in the early time, okay,
yeah.
Trying to compare him to Nick Cage, all right, as Martin Freeman, he's a very likable actor. Like everything else I see, and he kind of still plays the same kind of Martin Freeman I see in every other movie, the straight man. Like by the end of the movie, you're really endeared to him, and you just want to see him make it, even though so here's where my stupidity comes in. So when the girl stops him, I legit thought they were gonna pull some mystical bullshit out of nowhere, and she was just like, "No, you're the clever man. You can fix him, right?" And then he fixes him.
No.
Yeah, I know. Or
No.
or at least refer to it where the guy just goes like, "I can't do that," Like, I don't know. Like that's where my stupidity comes around. I'm just like, maybe, just maybe.
No, she's even smart enough to
yeah,
know
no,
that
she's smarter than me. I get it.
This is it. You're dead.
Yep. I think that, and that's also
probably bled to death anyway.
Yeah, and that's also her arc too, because she kind of realizes, yeah, they're dead. There's nothing about them anymore that's what they used to be. So she finally understands what the death of this is, So, I mean, overall, this was an awesome movie. Like, I really enjoyed this.
Fun watch.
Yeah,
Definitely
like
a good one. Sad. but
It was
good
really
watch.
sad. Yeah, like as far as because like other than this, the last zombie movie that actually still kind of got to me was, I mean, probably once again one of the best zombie movies of the past decade, Train to Busan. Like
Amazing.
the end with the father jumping off the rails, that gets me every time. Just like like because he's finally like, oh man, you know what killed me in this too? Right before he died, the kid finally says "dad" and "daddy,"
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, are you kidding? Like. This movie is designed to just punch you in the gut like over and over again.
is done well.
It was done very well. Like these, and apparently I checked out the directors, and they really haven't done anything else. It's just
By really like anything. The director has not done anything.
no.
else.
It's two directors that did this. It's a woman,
Yolanda Ramke
Yeah.
and Ben something.
Ben
right?
something, but yeah, no. Yolanda only did this and the short, and then two other shorts. That's it. And I don't know about the other guy.
What is it? Ben Howling.
Ben.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything else other than the short and this.
Which honestly, like for their first time directing a major film, I thought it was fantastic. It was done very well. The cinematography was cool. Like I really got a feel of a post-apocalyptic land with the minimalist like possible things that they had. Because even in the beginning, they had an opening shot of like just little plots of burning circles going over a field.
And someone running, right?
Yeah, and someone running. And it's like, okay, you see someone running. I thought maybe it was like, okay, it's someone jogging or whatever. But no, it's apparently, I think it's one of the natives running away from the field. You see the fields where they're the circles of corpses burning. Or it's supposed to be corpses there, but I guess they've already burned down because you only see smoke. It didn't feel like it wasn't the post-apocalypse because usually what happens with these minimalist things, especially if they're done really bad, especially if they try doing it urban, where they basically just shoot in a warehouse district and just say it's a desolate wasteland, you know what I mean? But no, these people did a really good job, and I hope they actually do something else. I want to see what else they can do.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it would be pretty good.
But yeah, overall, I completely recommend this movie. If if we didn't spoil it too much for you at this point.
We just told you the entire movie.
Yeah, but like I said, I don't feel like bad about spoiling this one because the motherfucker's gonna die at the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just you if you want to really like get the impact of everything, then I would still watch this. So I mean that's all we got for today. Unless you want anything else to add to this.
No, not really.
No, I think we covered everything. All right.
Yeah, no, it was a good movie, fun to watch. I thought it, like I said earlier, it was a little different, interesting take on a zombie infected type outbreak movie.
Yeah, probably very original.
Sad from the start, just very
sad from start
dreading,
to finish.
like small cast, very small cast, but it
yeah.
was really well done.
Yeah, I was really impressed by this, and I'm kind of mad that I put this off for so long, but at the same time, otherwise I wouldn't have material for this podcast. So, anyways, but all right, guys. So we'll chat you on the next one. We still have to decide what movie we're gonna do. But once again, I am Oscar, and I am with
Dylan.
And we will see you guys on the next Gooned Up Nerds podcast. Bye.
Have a good one.